Yo, another week, another hip hop podcast. This is episode number 13. I'm here with the lovely, the illustrious, the sometimes annoyed.
Always annoyed, usually. Hey guys, it's Bria. I'm just going to say my name because I haven't committed to a nickname yet. Other than Bria the Curator. I like that one. It's going to stick until I find something better.
So, just for the record, you've been fighting against Bria the Curator for like the past 10 weeks. And then the 13th week, you're just like, you know what? It's cool.
I mean,
I'll keep it. I like the name for the record, but
I like Bria the Curator. I've gotten some pushback. Hi,
from
Nia.
who? Oh.
Nia, not editor Nia. Other Nia. Hey, other Nia. My
Artwork Nia.
First Nia.
Our artwork Nia.
Art Nia. So no, editor Nia's not gonna like that. Hi. Nia. No, Nia has said she doesn't like Curator because she doesn't think it best describes all the things that I do. So.
But for now.
Valid. I'm like, okay, cool. But I mean,
But
Creator's already taken, and I think that's better. I'm working on it. Whatever. Hey, you don't have any nicknames. You need a nickname. Other than Mayron, you'll find more about me as this podcast goes on.
That's not a nickname. That's just a catchphrase. That's a catchphrase.
That's
not
like
a
your
nickname
name at this point.
And people do find out more about me through the podcast.
I mean,
In
same.
fact, that's the only way that people find out more about me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really talk like
No.
on social media. I am somewhat active, I suppose, but I don't really post anything about me.
No, you
So,
don't actually.
It's great, right? Anyways,
No, I mean, my sister said you're cute. She
shouts to
says
her.
you need to put yourself out there more. No, for real. Every time she's like, "Oh, who's that?" I'm like, can you not? It's very strange.
Yeah, my girlfriend feels the same way.
Hey, swag. We need
Oh, like the
noises.
little horns and
yeah,
things.
I'm gonna actually put that on my to-do
We
list.
should get like a mixer and have,
Yeah,
like,
no,
the
I'm putting on my
drops
to-do
and
list. I
whatnot.
want them.
We
That
have
would be a
never
perfect
started
time.
a podcast like this where we're actually just talking. This is weird.
I like it though.
Oh, maybe we should continue it more often.
Maybe you'll get to know more about us.
Yo.
I'm sorry.
So as you can
Painkillers.
see, we have the opposite tone from our last episode, which was super serious, super about us, super in depth.
Oh, it was.
And it was really good, so I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. I'm getting a lot of love on my little dragon section spiel. I'm so glad that so many of my beautiful brown people appreciate Little Dragon as much as they should, honestly.
And you know what's really dope is that like everyone I like ran into that I have listened to the episode already is just like these three albums describe you perfectly. Like everyone's like, yes, these are the three I would choose.
Oh,
And I'm
that's
like,
cute.
I'm like, all right, that makes me feel good.
Yeah, people that I totally said the same thing. They're like all over the place for as far as their selection, but it just makes more sense. Yeah.
So this week, I think we want to get into the art of the feature, and I think we're just going to start it off with a disagreement that has been simmering for weeks now that Bria and I have had.
Yes. Shout out to Same Nia because she actually was like, I cannot wait until you guys revisit this. She told me that like this week. So that's great.
So if you listen to our episode about women in hip hop, we got to a point where we were talking about guest features. And I made the point that J. Cole has good guest features. And Bria's like, no, he doesn't.
No.
Kendrick has great guest features. And Bria was just like, nah, J. Cole, all he does is sun people on his guest verses, and
Kind
that's
of,
it.
yeah.
And Kendrick actually does things. So I'm here to say that I think, and this is our first hip-hop argument, quote-unquote. We're not a hip-hop argument podcast, but those shits are whack. But I'm here to say that I think Cole's guest features are more consistent and at a higher level than Kendrick's.
I will completely agree with the consistency. So let me defend myself and say, see, I'm already screaming. Let me defend myself and say, I don't think that Cole does bad features. I don't think J. Cole does bad features. I think he does consistently good features. I'll say that they're good. Sometimes they're very fucking good. And he is one of the most consistent artists, I think, that do consistent good features. What I said was, I think Kendrick has way more misses than Cole does, but the hits are better hits than Cole's hits. So, I feel like that. I think Kendrick is a little bit more experimental. He's an experimental artist anyway, like the way he like disguises his voice, reverb, tempo, everything. But I think when he features himself, I think he kind of pushes himself either to like try and fit the artist bag, which is usually what fails, like him hopping on that Future remix, and I think he was trying to hop in a Future bag, and Kendrick hopping in a Future bag just isn't a thing, nor should it ever be. And I think that's where he fails. But when he like exceeds that and like does some weird shit, some weird fucking voices or whatever, I think he does that a lot on his features and all that shit. When he hits, it's like amazing. I love him. on his features. Even like that Peanut Butter Inside, like I can like name features, not even like the song or the artist. I don't give a fuck. It's just like him featured on those songs are some of my favorite like verses from him.
So I think you made 4 different points there. Like no, like seriously, 4 different really good points. The first is about like Kendrick and like being an artist and when he chooses to sort of push the bounds of his artistry. And I agree he does that on features, but I think some of it is actually laziness.
Okay.
So I have a theory about Kendrick and guest features. I think Kendrick tries when there's a rapper on the track that he actually likes. I think when Control came out, he didn't like Big Sean. He liked Jay Electronica. He's like, oh, I'm going to track with Jay Electronica. I got to try. I think when anytime he's with J-Rock, he's like, I'm going to try hard.
Yeah.
And then anytime he's with like, you know, one of his label mates or someone he really fucks with or someone he looks up to, it's always a high. You notice that? And anytime it's like someone that you're like, I don't really appreciate the art of this person. Like, you can hear Kendrick doing that in his head. It's kind of like, this is for a check, a.k.a. the Sia verse, right? He had a verse on, like, one of Sia's songs. It was god-awful. You know why it was god-awful? Because I'm sure Kendrick didn't even listen to the song. I'm sure someone's, like, sent him, like, you know, hey, can you write, like, a 16 for this? All right, whatever. Writes the 16, pumps it out. And my thing about Kendrick is that the reason that he's like so up and down with the features is not just because like he's pushing the artistry, but also because I think he doesn't care about features as much as Cole does.
And that's fine. I respect that.
Yeah, I think Cole cares a lot about his features. Right?
You can tell he
like,
fucking cares.
I think he like takes them so seriously.
You can tell, and that's kind of what blows me.
Well, why? Like
I don't know. It's just I don't know.
What's wrong with trying? Like
there's nothing wrong with trying, but it's the intent behind it. And Cole is somebody that, and I'm not knocking him for it. There are other niggas that do everything for a check. And like, and I mean, the niggas that do it in the way that I respect. Niggas that don't, like, I don't respect it. Like, niggas can shit on all these dolls all they fucking want. Like, don't respect it. But like, the way Cardi moves with her ratchetry, I respect it. Like, this is different of intent. And I feel like Cole tries really hard, because like I said, I feel like he tries really hard to like sun these niggas. And not like actually like diss them, but be like, I'm your OG, I'm your legend. Like, we not on the same level, like youngin', like listen to me. I'm here to give you them. Like, and that's cool, that's fine. But it's like, I listen to his raps like, okay, all right. Like, it's more, it's not, I don't even think it's for me. I think it's for like the niggas that he's on the songs with. Like, look, little nigga, don't do drugs. Like, love your family, love your kids. Like, basically, it's like him 444ing all the niggas that he's on a song with.
So one thing I think I appreciate about Kendrick more than Cole on the guest features is that, like you said, Cole's point is always very specific.
Yeah.
Whereas Kendrick sort of like tries to fuck it and meld himself into the song, which can be a lot of fun. But it brings it to like a larger point about features in hip hop, right? Features in hip hop, I think, have this, there used to be the stigma of like, you can't let someone get on your shit and kill you on your shit, right? You can't get washed. Yeah. And I feel like Cole is always trying to semi-wash the person that he's on the feature with.
For sure.
And Kendrick's like departing from that. Kendrick's like, maybe
I'm
I wash
nigga
you,
already.
maybe I don't.
Yeah.
I just want to make a dope verse and put it here.
Facts.
Like, I want to try my best to do what I do, right?
Okay.
And so
I feel all of that.
There's 2 very different approaches to that in general. But like, if you look at it like hip hop throughout like, I guess since the 80s and shit, like, there's so many great examples of, like, people getting busted up on features, right? Like, you know, obviously the big example is Jay-Z and Eminem, right?
Mm-hmm. Nicki washing everyone on Monster.
And Nicki washing everything on Monsters. Those, I think, are 2 stand out the most, right? Mm-hmm. Cole always wants to do that. Mm-hmm. He always wants to do that. I have never heard a Cole verse where he's not trying to do that.
Yeah.
But I like it because I like the fact that he's trying to actively wash the rapper that he's on the track with. Because there's not enough people trying to wash rappers on tracks that they're with anymore.
That's true. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm never going to complain about the camaraderie that's in hip-hop right now. But there is like a little...
You can have camaraderie and still try to out-rap somebody.
Go bar for bar. Yeah. But I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. But...
You think, I think JID loves Cole. If you tell me that JID doesn't try to out-bar Cole on the songs they're together on,
oh my God,
I'm saying you're lying. Like,
you have to.
There's a lot there. So if you look at like features as like an art form, right? There's those 2 camps. There's the Kendrick camp and the Cole camp. But there's also this like tertiary camp, which is the Andre 3000 camp.
Oh my God, yeah, we cannot. He was the only person I really wanted to talk about.
Because I want to talk about it too, and fuck like the build up. Let's just start there. So, the earliest Andre feature that I can remember is him on TLC, right? Something Wicked Comes This Way. He does a guest verse I think it's the only rap verse on that album, on Red Light Special. And he just kills the entire thing. And then, like I said, I heard him 20-something years later on James Blake's album. And and I listened to those songs back to back by accident because they came up in shuffle on like whatever I was listening to. And I was just like, wow, Andre 3000 has been killing guest features as long as I've been alive.
Nigga, what? Oh my God.
And I think the way he approaches guest features is also interesting too, right? Because like obviously he has a group. Like Outkast is a big thing. You know, maybe you heard of him. And Big Boy's an amazing rapper, but I don't ever think that Andre ever watches Big Boy. And
No.
I don't think Big Boy ever watches Andre. They
No.
work together and like they make cohesive songs.
That's what I
and
fundamentally hate with this whole like who's a better rapper, Big Boy or Andre 3000. Like the whole reason why I feel like these niggas became a duo and are like the best rap duo, in my opinion, to exist is because like they complement each other. They do not clash against each other. They are incomparable. I don't think they are.
I don't think that. I don't know if I agree with that they're the best rap duo ever, but
They're mine.
I can definitely see why someone would say that. But I guess the point that I was getting at is that like Andre uses the features to like go outside of the Outkast box, right?
Yeah.
And like Outkast is a very large box and a very like multi-dimensional box, and they do a lot of things. But
Yeah.
even outside of that, Andre's like, all right, what can I do that's different? So on the Walk It Out, like the famous like Walk It Out remix where he washes everyone and their
Everything.
mother, right?
Right.
He raps like a rapper,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I just got like a brain blast. I feel like maybe one of the reasons what Andre 3000 does is I feel like what he does really well is I think he matches the artist that he's like featuring on. Like, I don't think he tries to like wash them, even though he knows he is more than likely going to do that. But I like how kind of like what Kendrick does, but like doesn't do well if he doesn't do it with people that he cares about, and that like J. Cole doesn't really do at all. That's kind of what I want them both to do. Maybe that's why I'm leaning more on Kendrick and then Cole, because Cole doesn't do this. Like, I don't think he tries to match the artist that he's on the song with. I don't think it's necessary, but I like hearing unconventional artists that wouldn't necessarily be featured with this artist like find some type of like cohesion, find some type of like collaboration. Those are the best fucking songs.
And that's, I think, my point when he says he raps like a rapper. He's just rapping like everyone else on the song, really.
Mm-hmm.
He's not necessarily taking a step outside of their lane. He's going into their lane and saying, how well can I do here? And he does the same thing even on his R&B features, right? So on
Yep.
Pink Matter, on the Frank Ocean track, when he's not trying to bar Frank Ocean up, he's within the spirit of the song when he raps through it. And I think that's what makes him so unique, right? Is that he takes the opportunity to go outside the Outkast box when he's on feature and really feel the spirit of the song. One thing that J. Cole doesn't do, like you said, is he never feels the spirit of the song. Right? He
Yeah.
forces his shit onto the
on
song.
it, right? He be turning niggas all the way down on the most turn up songs that he's featured on sometimes. Like, come on, son.
Who else do you feel like has like had great feature career?
Birdman. I feel like Birdman. I wanted to talk about Birdman because I was like, who
Go ahead,
does
go
really
ahead.
well on features that doesn't necessarily, I think, are equally matched when it comes to their own music.
That's
and I
crazy
feel like,
because Birdman can't rap, but he does do great on features.
yeah,
right?
I think that's like only thing I've ever heard anybody say about Birdman, even as far as like his relevancy. Like, other than him putting other artists on, which is what I think he's like known the most for, putting them on and stealing from
putting
them,
them on and, yeah.
stealing from them. But like the only type of good music we've ever received from Birdman, I think, have only been on features, ever.
That's 100% true. I think, and the thing about Birdman is, what's really interesting, a lot of interesting things about Birdman. You could write books on interesting things about Birdman, to be honest.
I agree.
Is that like, yes, he has other rappers write his verses when he's on their songs, right? But he can match the cadence of the verse, which is very surprising from someone that can't actually rap at all.
Yeah, we can barely talk sometimes. Like, what is he saying?
I really think it's his brother that's the brains of that group. It's two brothers that run that label, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of the brother that runs it with him. And he's really the brain of it, and Birdman's a very good like image. You know, I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between a feature and a collab. And what I mean by this is like, you know, Mace and Diddy like have had a lot of songs together, and technically all their songs
Ronald
are features.
Slim Williams is Birdman's brother's name.
Slim Williams?
Yes.
Yeah. That dude is a smart motherfucker.
He is. But,
Don't fuck with that guy. Don't fuck with Birdman either, really.
oh, Jesus.
But anyways, I guess back to my point. Like Mason Diddy, but Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre is another great example of this, right? So on Nothing But a G Thing and The Chronic and stuff, that doesn't sound like a feature to me. That sounds like a collaboration.
Right.
Because of how close they are. But they're technically all features. So, what's the defining line? Is it just a matter of closeness of the artists?
I think that's one of the biggest factors. I also think it's like collaboration. It seems more of like a back and forth. Like I think that's why like even the Watch the Throne is like a collaborative project between Jay-Z and Kanye. Like each song is more of a collaboration because like they're going back and forth. Like predominantly it's not just one song where it's all Kanye and then Jay-Z comes does a verse and like dips the fuck out. They're kind of like they're literally on some songs they're going back and forth like verse for verse or bar for bar or whatever. I think that kind of becomes more of a collaboration. Even with Snoop Dogg and I feel like in Dr. Dre, I feel like that was more of like their relationship. And even like within the music, within the features is like them kind of going back, like almost like a call and response, which they have like a couple songs.
They have
like
a couple
that.
songs.
Yeah. So I think that is more what kind of lies in that collaboration. It was feature. It was just like you make a whole song. The song exists without this artist. And then it's like, but who would make this song better? Who do I hear on this? Who do I want on this? Who have I always wanted to feature? Like it's always funny to me when people ask certain artists who like if you could feature anybody in the world, if you could have anybody in a song in the world, like who would it be? Obviously everyone always says Beyonce, but I find it really amusing when certain artists say Beyonce, like Dom Kennedy. Like he actually said, I think it's on one of his projects. He was like, "Yeah, I would love to have Beyonce featured on a project." And I'm like, "In what world is Beyonce gonna hop on a Dom Kennedy track?"
We are the only podcast that's mentioned Dom Kennedy multiple times in 2019.
He deserves to be mentioned. Honestly,
we are the only podcast that does that.
Anyway, I'm not gonna. For Al's sake, I'm not gonna shade Dom anymore.
I mean, like we should have him on to do an evolution of Dom Kennedy.
We have to.
We've referenced him 3 times in 12 episodes. And no other hip-hop podcast has ever done that. I guarantee you that much.
Anyway, but I think that's more like what a feature is. Like, nigga, like, it's yours. It already exists, but you want to put this person on it. Even if there's no chemistry and it makes no fucking sense just because you want to have the person on.
So,
like, that's more of a feature.
When Rihanna hops on Kendrick's Loyalty.
That is a feature, without a doubt.
That's a feature or is that a collaboration?
That's a feature. I think it's still a feature. I think the song, even though
I don't know. I'm confused.
No, I'm thinking about the song.
Yeah,
because that it does more.
That
seem
sounds
like a call and like a response,
right? Yeah, because based on your call and response, based on the way you're saying that it's built, like that seems like it'd be more like a collaboration versus a feature.
But also, Rihanna's one of them artists where people like make songs with her in mind. Like the beginning of building a fucking song, like I want to have Rihanna on these vocals, like, and which I think Kendrick is an artist who also could have made that happen. Like, I'm building this song, I want Rihanna to be on the shit. Let's make sure she can be on the shit and we can do it together before I fucking do it.
Well, this is hilarious, right? Because you say, I want Rihanna on the vocals. One of the biggest jokes in rap is, the Drake vocals came in, right? The Drake track came in. And so I think anytime Drake does a feature, it's definitely a feature, not a collaboration, which is counter to the point about Rihanna, right? And what makes it different, I guess, is the point. Because I think they are of equal magnitude, right? Drake and Rihanna both have equal amounts of star power, etc., etc. But what Drake does is, like, when he hops on your track, is that, how do I say this? It fits in, but it doesn't fit it.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any type of style that Drake brings to the songs other than stardom.
He brings the style of the song, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
like he raps like whatever is on the song.
Yeah.
With Black Boy JB, with Migos, with whoever he's rapping with, he's adapting that flow, and he's adapting that cadence, and he's adapting that material. And so whenever Drake decides to hop on your song, whenever Drake decides to give you that, like, blessed feature that could, in theory, make or break your career, like, it's interesting that it's always a feature and never a collaboration. Even that tape with Future doesn't sound like a collab, right? It sounds like a bunch of Drake features or a bunch of Future
that were dropped
features.
in, yeah.
Yeah. So this line, I guess, gets blurry is my point.
Yeah.
Between, like, what's a feature and what's a collaboration. And when we're talking strictly about, like, features, I don't think about things like California Love with, like, Tupac and Dr. Dre. You think, that's not a feature. That's just a collaboration between, these two artists. And you're like, well, technically it's a feature because that was on a Pac solo album. So, I'm not sure. I guess I'm not sure what constitutes what and, like, what the difference artistically is, if there is one.
Yeah, I mean, I really think most of it lies within the chemistry of the two artists and whether or not that chemistry is reflected in the song. I feel like some songs you listen to and you can tell them niggas were in the same room. Like, even if they weren't, it just feels like it. Like, oh, these niggas were together when they made this. Like,
so, like, Lupe and Kanye on Touch the Sky, right? Like, I think that's one of the most career-defining features ever, right? Because that is definitely what launched Lupe's career.
Yeah.
It's like Kanye reaching out and being like, yeah, you should definitely be on this song.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Lupe before. I think we should talk about him again, to be honest,
yes.
and do a part 2 to that Evolution of series. Is that Lupe is one of those rappers you would think would kill every single person he's ever been featured on a song with. And I wonder if that's like one of the reasons that he doesn't get featured as much as he should. Or if it's just because like I think artists might be scared to like, you know, get Lupe on their track because like Lupe is going to kill them. Because could you imagine like a Lupe and Kendrick track?
I would love it.
Like, could you imagine them going back and forth?
I feel like he's the only nigga that would do it.
Yeah, I think he's the only person that would like bar Kendrick out of anywhere. It would be ridiculous, right? That's something I want to see.
I know. I also think I think Kendrick's one of the only artists that would feature Lupe with the idea, or like, this nigga might watch me, but that's fine. Like, I don't think Cole would ever feature Lupe.
That's fair. I don't think. I mean, the only feature that I remember with Cole has like a quote unquote superior rapper is the Nice Watch shit with Jay-Z, which was a terrible song.
Oh.
Like, that was a terrible song. Like,
oh well. But I mean, it's fine. People are allowed.
What's your favorite feature of all time? You have one? Just like off top. You don't have to like. This has to be well researched. Like, it's fine.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk about Andre 3000, which you kind of explained, which is why I didn't delve further into it, like how he really like matches his artists, or like kind of gets into their bag and just like, how can I make this my bag or whatever. And I love that Andre 3000 does that and has continuously done that, like we said, for like fucking decades at this point. So one of my favorite features from Andre 3000 is the one that I was the most surprised by him ever doing, which was December remix.
Oh.
It's like, who is that artist? So Divine Council is the artist.
Yeah.
The song is the December remix with Andre 3000 on it. My nigga, when I heard that song for the first time, because Andre 3000 is one of those niggas that as soon as you hear his voice, you know who it is. Like, this nigga go, hey. And everyone's like, oh shit, 3 Stacks. And like, so he's one of my top 3 rappers of all time, if I haven't mentioned that before. Like, Andre 3000 is top 3 for my whole life. And it's actually the only one that has been in my top 3 and has never been taken out. Everyone else has kind of been cycled around.
Who else is in the rotation?
It used to be Dre, Ye, Pac, Andre 3000, Kanye, Tupac. Now it's Dre, Doom, Dot, Andre 3000, MF Doom, Kendrick Lamar. So yeah, he's the only one that's like been in my top 3 my entire life, and he's never gonna get taken out. But so when I fucking heard this December remix, and I was like in a club or some shit, like I want to say I was in Die Starts Monday. Like when I heard, I mean I've been in, because yeah, the DJ that was at Die Starts Monday, he plays December, like one of the DJs, because they had multiple, but one of the DJs that I like have been there multiple times, he always plays this song, and I've never heard this song be played by any fucking DJs. I don't even know anybody that knows this fucking song that much, to be honest. But when this nigga came in, hold that bitch down like a gurney, I was like, oh. This Andre, like, what? Oh, excuse me. But I also like that, like, this is probably one of the most problematic features from Andre 3000, which is another thing that I think is hilarious. I just think it went so under the radar because not enough people give a fuck about Divine Council enough to, like, have listened to this song. But in the verse, he says, I fucked her like she was a dyke and need a reminder what good dick was like. Yeah.
It's a great line.
It's a great line.
It's a great line.
It's a great line. But that's what I like so much about it. It's like, not even is he like matching these niggas like level of like cadence or level of like whatever. Like, I liked how he also like matched this like niggas level of like problematicness. Like, I was like, I've never heard Andre talk about women in that way, talk about like sex in that way. And that's like he doesn't talk about it, like he very much does, but it's always like pink matter type shit. It's never like I fucked her like she was a dyke and just need a reminder what good dick was like. Yeah. I was like, holy shit. Like, my heart stopped. Like, oh, I love this man. Oh, my God. Like, that made me like him more. So that's probably going to go ahead, like, my favorite Andre 3000 verse, because it makes me feel so many things that I never thought Andre 3000 would make me feel. Like, I kind of want him to talk to me like that. And I'm not the type of person that allows people to talk to me like that. At the fuck off. But, like, Andre roll up, said that shit in my ear. Wow. Yikes. So, what about you?
Wild.
What? I love that man.
So, changing subjects. I think, this is hard. This is really hard. Because, like, it gets back into my whole, like, what's the feature? What's the collaboration thing? And
of course.
Because, like,
of course, Mayron gets meta.
Well, because it's like, what am I going to say, right? If I say, you know, something that, like, I don't know. Fuck. There's too many to choose. Too many.
Okay. But you said off the top. That's why I just chose one off the top. So off the top. Off the top. Don't even think about it. What's somebody's featured song that, like, you know every fucking word of, like, their part? That's why I brought up Andre 3000. I know every word to that part. I don't know none of the words to all of December except for Andre 3000's part.
Oh, I used to know all the words to Renegade. Like, I used to know all the words to M's verse on Renegade. It was such a good song, right? And I personally didn't think that, like, he washed him as bad as, like, other people said. I definitely thought he washed him, but, like, but I don't think it was, like, a massacre. I would go with that. I think M in general, before he went, like, crazy.
Four torn.
Yeah. Before all that shit was very good on feature verses. But, you know who I really liked on feature verses was Big Pun. I'm not sure a lot of people know how good Big Pun used to be. Twin Towers and so many other verses that he had out there that would... I'll make a Big Pun playlist and attach it to this episode because, like...
Yeah, that'll be lit.
I don't know how to talk about Big Pun because no one seems to know anything other than still not, like, I don't want to be a player. And it's really unfortunate. But so back when Fat Joe was much more actively rapping and he could rap back in the day.
Oh, can we talk about that? We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, so Fat Joe
used to fucking rap.
Used to fucking, like, rap his ass off, right? It's wild. Whenever him and Big Pun would hop on a track together, it would be like magic. Just the speed, the cadence, the level of, like, lyricism, and, like, the rawness of it all was just absolutely astounding. So really take any Big Pun feature from that, like, Fat Joe can rap era, and you have, like, one of Mayron's favorite and, like, easiest verses to listen to. Also, there's this song called The Truth, which is Common, Sadat X, Talib Kweli, Mos Def, and a couple other people. A lot of people on that track. And Pharoah Monch. Anytime Pharoah Monch hops on a track, I die. So if you don't know who Pharoah Monch is a New York rap legend, for sure. He has songs with everyone from Jay-Z to Styles P to, like, the Lox. He's one of the rawest to ever do it. So I think, you know, I have an answer to that question. You said, what song do I know the entire verse of? Styles P and Pharoah Monch have this song called My Life. And I know every single word to it because it's one of the best examples of New York hip-hop ever created.
I feel that.
It gets real, you know, sorry to get real deep in the weeds there. So, is hip-hop the only genre that does this feature shit? Because I've never heard, like, you know, like, Red Hot Chili Peppers be like, yeah, we're going to have the Foo Fighters on our next song.
Hip-hop is one of the only genres, and I think hip-hop and just the rap genre helped other genres, like, adapt to this. Like, more and more now I see other artists, especially when they feature artists that aren't a part of their genre. Then it would be, like, featuring. Like, because I realized that with a lot of, like, producers, like, a lot of, like, Calvin Harris-ass niggas will make a song featuring Frank Ocean, even though that nigga Frank Ocean is singing the whole shit, but it's because, you know, he's like a beat maker, he's a producer, he's whatever. So that I see a lot with producers, engineers, stuff like that.
But
especially
that's
now,
recent, right?
Yeah, especially I was gonna say, especially with the rise of the producer, like we kind of talked about, becoming the rock stars, like themselves for their artistry, like Metro Boomin. His whole album would be a Metro Boomin album, but it'll all be featuring all the niggas that are on the shit because he produced everything. But even though that's still within hip hop, so. Yeah, certain artists that are outside of that, they're like, Calvin Harris isn't a hip hop artist in any right. I think he's more like dubstep, electronic,
he's like electronic, I think.
Yeah. So, but anybody that's singing on his shit, it's featuring. And
I don't know if I count that shit though.
Why not?
Because he's making a beat, right? He's making a beat to be sung on.
True.
So, like, it's different than hip hop. Hip hop, you're making a song to be heard, right? Yeah. Like, when you have, like, a feature, you have, like, a song, you have an idea, you're like, yo, it'd be really dope to have this person's artistic influence in it. It'd be really dope to create this thing together. And in theory, right, this is an ideal world. This is not how features work anymore. But in theory, you're like, yeah, let me call this person up. Let's, like, get together in the studio. Let's write dope verses. Let's put out a product together. Calvin Harris is like, you know what? Let me make this beat. It'd be really dope if Rihanna sang on it. All right, Rihanna, sing on it.
I feel that. The only reason why I don't fully agree with that is because I think kind of in that same right, even though he's kind of considered hip hop as like Philo, when Philo just produces his shit and he doesn't feature every motherfucking nigga that's singing on his shit, and rarely do we ever hear that nigga's voice, especially on his own shit. It's always somebody singing or doing like a shit like that, and he won't feature all of them niggas. You know, some he will. You know what I'm saying?
You know who I've never heard without a feature? I've never heard French Montana without a feature.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't like French Montana, but I make this point to everyone I can. French Montana has never made a solo song.
No, that's real.
Every single song, he has featured someone.
He cannot.
I don't think he has the talent to do so. Like,
no,
I think his talent is like, much like DJ Khaled's talent, is basically finding the best fit.
Yep.
For everything that he does, right?
Yep. No, I really wholeheartedly stand by that.
I think it's funny.
Yeah. Because actually, and actually my favorite French Montana verse is a feature. Just so old. It's like a song he has with Currency. He needs to go back to making more music like that. That was a really good
French
song.
Montana made
French
a song
Montana
with
had a
Currency?
song with Currency. I know the whole fucking verse. Shorty pussy is the meanest. Like, that's how he starts the shit. Like, let me see.
Yeah, like he has talent, just not as a rapper. Like French Montana is a talented individual. Like you don't get to that point. Like even DJ Khaled is a talented individual. You don't get to the point they're at without having any talent. They're just not good at rapping.
Yep, So High. It's Currency featuring French Montana.
Well, that's an appropriate song title for Currency.
That was but that's by far, hands down, my favorite French Montana verse. But it's not really saying
Yeah, I don't know how much
too
that's
much. Yeah, shorty pussy be the meanest. I be ballin' all arenas, homie high somewhere in Venus. I mean, just want to tell you I don't want it. I don't need it. That's funny.
What
All
is
French.
what is like a guest feature that you've always wanted to hear? Like two artists that you essentially always wanted to hear collaborate. Like you get to put any two artists from any time period in any genre together in a room. You're like, all right, make a song.
I mean, one of the reasons why when we talked about in the other episode what artists would we bring back, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring back Amy Winehouse is because I wanted to hear Amy Winehouse be featured on all these rap niggas' music. Because, like, that's in the lane that she was, like, going in, that little super group that she was trying to form and shit. Like, I want to hear Amy Winehouse, like, just thinking about how she not passed away. I would love to hear Amy Winehouse, like, on a Kendrick track. I feel like that would be gold. Like, I feel like the whole jazziness thing that everyone's kind of, like, leaning into now, thanks to Thundercat and to Pimp a Butterfly, and people need to give Thundercat his motherfucking roses for that shit. I feel like Amy would have introduced that shit to niggas way earlier. And I feel like she would have had niggas on that wave. Like, so I would love to hear Amy Winehouse on anything with anybody ass track, honestly. Like,
I would like to hear Amy Winehouse with like more like so her specialty was New York rappers, right? She loved Nas.
Yes.
Like she loved a lot of like sort of like
Mos
lyrically
Def.
dense, like Mos Def, a lot of like rappers. And I think I would want to hear her with more people like that because she pushed them to rap over more creative beats.
yes.
And she pushed them to create a more interesting landscape, right? I think so. We're gonna get to this next week, but Griselda, for example, is now leaning into having their rappers rap over little jazzier tracks, which enhances them a lot. Like, so I'm thinking Benny the Butcher, Euro Droog, etc., etc. But I think one feature, quote unquote, that I would really want to see is I want to see like Mos Def and Migos. I want to see people that aren't supposed to like be featured on each other's tracks and see what they do, right? So I want to take incredibly like sort of like this Andre 3000 and being on the Walk It Out remix, right? Not exactly who you expect to be on the Walk It Out remix.
That shit is magic.
But it's magic.
It elevated
right?
the song.
So I want to see more of like what does like this artist do to like this person's song? Like how can they shape it? How can they change it? How can they make like a whole new world be found in this supposedly simple song?
Yeah.
Right? I want to see basically the opposite of what Drake does. Drake just sort of like continues on with the song. Like it could be that artist doing the Drake verse. The only difference is it's Drake voice, not the artist's voice.
Right.
And I want to see instead of that, I want to see like someone with a different kind of voice come on the song.
Yeah.
And sort of like conflict it. So that's why I said like Mos Def and Migos, because initially I'm like, it's interesting, right? Because Mos Def loves to harmonize. Migos' strength is harmonizing, right?
Yeah.
I think Mos Def would do really well with sort of the newer Atlanta sound and the way the drums are set up and the way the melodies are set up. I think Mos Def would actually do very, very well with that, right? I don't know if the content would necessarily match between the two, but that's, again, what makes it interesting.
No, I agree. And I see us getting there, especially with like this whole Lil Nas and Billy side. Billy Ray hopping on this shit, but like just the perception or like the response to that, I think was like amazing. And like now you see everybody like on all these black people on Twitter on the yeehaw shit. Like Black Twitter has posted themselves wearing fucking fringes and cowboy hats, and I think that shit's hilarious though, because from that. Which another thing which is why I love so much about Twitter is niggas like, you know what would be cool? And then just throwing random shit together, but niggas being like, whoa, that's fire. And like starting a thread and expanding it. I like how a lot of people are like, all right, so now we need Beyonce on like a Red Hot Chili Pepper song. Now we need Megan Thee Stallion to be featured on like whoever the fuck else. Like people like because of Lil Nas and this whole Old Town Road shit, other people are coming up with their own like versions of that. Who needs to be featured on what country artist needs to like cross over with hip hop. And like I genuinely seen that turning into something. Like I genuinely see Megan Thee Stallion heading up under these fucking country ass niggas and saying like, hey, you want to feature? All these niggas might say no because I still expect most of them to be like racist as fuck. But like one nigga might say yeah. Billy Ray Cyrus said yeah. The fuck.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I was getting at with the Mos Def Migos point. It's just more things that are wider. Like one of the things I wish Dave East had done is instead of just like being mad at Lil Nas X for making the song. I wish he had actually like taken the song and flipped it. Like I think,
made it bad. Take it back. Take it back.
If you think it's whack, then you go ahead and do something with it. You're a very talented rapper,
right?
Like you can figure this out.
Yeah, no matter how many points you make, the way he went about it, he sounded like a hater. Not saying I disagree with Dave.
Yeah,
I feel him, and he's allowed to have his opinion. But the way he delivered it, he sounded like a hating ass nigga.
So that's the thing. That's what he sounded like. But to me, I'm like, Davies is allowed to have an opinion, and this is exactly the opinion that I expected Davies to have. So I don't know why people are angry, but beside the point. Yeah, I would have liked to see him like just flip it.
Take that shit back. Yeah, reclaim. And I'm tired of seeing women talking about reclaim. Like, niggas, reclaim your shit too. The fuck? Reclaim your shit. We were claiming our shit from y'all. So another thing I would like to see also, and we've talked about it with the whole female MCs episode, is I want to see more women being featured on these nigga songs. Like,
really?
Yes.
So you want more like man-woman tracks,
yeah,
I guess.
Like that's, I mean, because like I said, I want to hear Tierra Whack featured on everything, but I want to hear her go bar for bar with some of these male rappers because I know she would watch them. But I would love to have Rico Nasty's energy matched with like a male rapper. Like I feel like they would come up with some like really lit type fucking music. Like even Wale Megan Thee Stallion. I still think that's more of like a...
It's a very traditional sort of feature, right?
Right.
And
that's what I want to navigate away from. Like,
so what would that look like? Would that be like Tierra Frank?
Yeah.
Like, or would that be more like...
Or like just niggas rapping like a monster or something, how Nicki was just kind of throwing the fuck in there. Like she wasn't singing the hook or some shit. She wasn't singing the melody or some shit. Like she was just like in the middle of fucking Monster, like with her verse. I would like to see that. Like all the ASAP Mob, these niggas go, they verse, and then they throw a Rico Nasty verse in that shit. Wouldn't Rico Nasty and ASAP Mob make a lit ass motherfucking song?
I think ASAP Ferg and Rico Nasty
would be fire.
Would be great, right?
Yes, and I think they would play so well off of each other. Like, yeah, I want more of that. Like, bring these bitches in for the bars, because these bitches have bars.
Yeah, I think Ferg and Rico, but I also want to see more like, so recently on Twitter, there's a resurgence of like what Good Friday was the best. Like back when they used to, I want to see more songs like that where they just have a bunch of rappers, they put them all together, they mash them up, sort of like the BET ciphers, but without the BET.
Yeah, we don't need BET anymore in 2019.
I think that would be dope. I think we want more music that allows people to sort of like stay in their own lanes, get into other people's lanes, and sort of dig in. One way or another.
So I have a question. Okay. Because I was thinking about this with the whole like Cole argument. I feel like every year, every couple of years, like there's an artist that is like feature god of the year. Like I think Cole was definitely feature god of 2018. That's inarguable. Feature god of 2018. Yeah. So who do you think is going to be the feature god of 2019? Especially because out of the music that we've been given so far with this first quarter, there's no way to say. Like there's no guess. There's no good or bad guess in my opinion. But who do you think is going to be the feature god of 2019?
Oh man. Who do I think is going to be the feature god of 2019? And does it have to be a rapper?
No.
You know, I think Khalid is going to show up on a lot of tracks this summer. He just released an album. It was pretty solid. He's sort of making his way as a good like feature to have in the R&B like world. So I think people are going to call upon Khalid a lot. That one song like On the Way or whatever got a lot of spin. He had a song with Future last year as well. They got like some good traction. Who else could be the feature? Who do you got as being the feature god?
Somebody who I wouldn't be surprised by, but I would be a little surprised by because I feel like the only way he's going to do it is if he like remains consistent, and I don't think he's the most consistent artist, but has the potential to be, is Meek Mill. I don't know why. Yeah, his feature on Nav's album is my favorite song, and it's my favorite feature. I know you're not gonna
listen to that album.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, you're not missing anything. But that song, I think it's called Tap with Meek Mill. That's my shit. And like, I was surprised to be like, whoa, am I fucking with a Meek Mill feature? Like,
what's wrong with Meek Mill?
My thumb on her a-hole. Like, that's a bar. I was like screaming that at work the other day.
Really?
Yeah, I was. That's a bar. I don't care. Like, you have to listen to the whole verse. Listen to it. Listen to Tap by Meek Mill. That's actually my shit. So I was like thinking like, damn. Especially because we're getting into like more spring summer. I see Meek Mill like, because he's a nigga like, I think he more makes better like turn up songs, whether it's like inspiring you to turn the fuck up or like other way. Like I think it's still turn up shit. So I see him being able to execute some turn up features like,
You know who I think is going to be the feature god while you hold that thought?
Yeah, who?
Is the baby.
Yeah. Oh, duh. Yeah.
Like this year would just be because he's just gonna be money for the lot. Anytime he be the feature, right? Like it's just gonna be like.
And then he can actually rap. Like the fuck, and he's entertaining. He's an entertaining rapper, and I feel like those are the type of people, other than like you being clout or you being like star status like Drake. Like with a lot of niggas get featured that are like are animated or have some type of style that they want to bring onto their song.
Yeah.
So for that reason,
I think
the baby was my next
I think
choice.
DaBaby.
I think Tiara Whack is going to be in the room with a lot of niggas. I think she's going to be asked to be in the room with a lot of niggas while music's being made. I think she's going to be on a lot more songs featured. I don't know if they're going to like come out this year.
Until that album come out. I don't know.
But I don't know because niggas are starting to suck off. Like it's getting more and more and more. Even that whole like that weird new show where they have rappers judging other rappers. Have you seen that? Like it was
Is this T.I. shit?
Maybe.
Is this
I don't
like
know. I just
Chance is on it and Cardi's on it and T.I.'s
No. It was like it's just like a new like colors like energy type video, and it was Remy Ma, and they played her like 3 female artists that are like from the younger generation, and they had her choose the best one, like who her favorite nigga was, which was really cool actually. Yeah. So like they.
Oh, I know what this is. Yeah.
So for Remy Ma, they gave her Dreezy and Cash Doll. Somebody else.
Some Genius shit. I think
something like that.
Yeah, it's from Genius. Yeah.
Yeah. So she had to watch 3 different music videos. So one was a Dreezy and Cash Doll music video. One was the Tiara Whack Unemployed video, and then was something else. And she chose like Tiara, like who was your type nigga? And she's like Tiara Whack. She was the most well-rounded. She was the most whatever. I see so many niggas like saying that now. I see so many niggas now like, have y'all seen Whack World? And of course, like all the artist niggas are like, oh, dumb. But like, this is how shit happens. It happens in progressions. It happens in waves.
Also,
you know what I'm saying?
Don't be like that. Like,
don't
do that. Because like, you're not cool because you saw something on the internet
6 months before the other nigga. Sorry, niggas be busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations. But
like, yeah. So I see. But I more and more since we kind of talked about it and argued about it, and me saying I still feel like Tiara was a little under the radar. Since then, every day I see a new nigga, like a new artist.
Well, she's releasing new songs, right?
Yeah.
So that helps. Saying,
but even that, I mean, but because of her whole Grammy nomination, and another thing I realized when a lot of niggas get nominated for Grammys and people are like, who is this artist? And everyone does their Googles and then they listen to this artist, like, yeah, I've been knew them. Well, you're not hip. Tiara Whack was that nigga from this past Grammy session. Fair. Especially because she was putting up all these pictures of her and SZA and shit like that. I be seeing SZA in like Tiara Whack's comments and shit, which is mad weird. Like the type of relationships that she's growing, that she's building just from like, everyone in the industry is saying that you're cool, so I'm gonna try and hop on your dick before everyone else does, so I look like the cool nigga, not the hop on nigga.
Album, like I want like an album from like her, SZA, Megan. Like I want like
a full
group collaboration like of all of them. Like just it doesn't have to be a whole album. It could be like an EP, like 4 songs. Yeah, right? But like do the supergroup thing for once. I think supergroups are becoming a lost art in hip hop. Like
and women would be the bitches to bring it back. We should actually.
So recently, the best supergroup album, quote unquote, that's come out recently, I guess, is the Pivot Gang album. So Saba released his group's album, Pivot Gang, and it's amazing. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. But I was thinking about that in reference to this, and also I was thinking about Jay-Z's when he had the Dynasty album, and he had Beanie on there, and he had a bunch of other rappers on there, and everybody killed shit. I think it'd be dope if like Tierra, Megan, Rico, and a couple others like
that would be cool.
Would get together, just make 4 or 5 songs, right?
Yeah,
and like 4 or 5 really dope songs together, and just to show what they got.
I think it's gonna happen because even like I'm glad to see like more collaborations coming out, like Doja Cat and like Rico Nasty. I would like more stuff like that too, like pairs you wouldn't necessarily would put together on the same song, but like would very much like be niggas that be in the same room together. And that's actually, I think, a really good collaboration. It's probably one of my favorite collaborations to come out, especially for them to be 2, like, female artists. So I think we're getting there. But getting more than 3 or 4 in a room, that's tricky.
Yeah, it's very tricky, right? Like, even with this Pivot Gang album, they're all part of the same group, and it's hard for them to do that. But I think for today, that's a decent point to stop it at.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Do you have any recommendations for anything for people should listen to this week?
December remix. Let me know your thoughts about that Andre 3000 verse. Tell me it's not fire and not problematic. It's both, but it's great.
And it's okay.
It's fine.
I have 2 things. Listen to the Pivot Gang album. Saba's put out a great piece of work. And also, Kota the Friend, Kota the Friend, released a great album in 2018 called Anything, and just released another song called, I think, like Friend Zone or some bullshit like that. That's really good. But go listen to the album Anything by Kota the Friend. It's very nice, like Sunday morning vibe.
I feel it. Right. Jane Smith is coming. I hope it's good.
Oh, yes.
I hope it's good because he be impressing me with his music sometimes. Him and Willow. First it was Willow. It was like all on Willow's dick, and then Jane came out, and I was like all on Jane's dick, and then Willow dropped an album, and I wasn't that much of a fan, so I've kind of been on Jane's dick. But he just dropped an EP in anticipation for his album that's about to come out. Watch this nigga Jane take over the summer. I hope he does. I hope he does.
We'll see. All right. Thanks for listening. Peace and love.
Bye.
When does it come back in?
Hey guys, Bria the curator here. Thank you for listening. just wanted to let you guys know that we're officially on Apple, the whole podcasting thing. So click that button, follow, subscribe. We're also on SoundCloud and Spotify. So follow us on all the things. It'll be worth it. Thanks.